I think it's going to be a close one, but at the end of the game, it's going to be Syracuse on top by a field goal. 31-28 will be the final. Syracuse, it's going to be right down to the wire. Brady Denenberg will get the kick to win it in the final minute.
What can I say? He nailed it. Sitting next to Nick Whaley that night, we both agreed that Syracuse and 23rd ranked Georgia Tech would come down to the wire, and it sure did. And while Nick isn't with us currently, my phenomenal analysts and I are ready to break down a wild one in the Dome. It's Orange Press Pass, and it starts right now. Welcome inside our CitrusTV studios for this edition of Orange Press Pass alongside Max Gifford and Kiran Costa. I'm Srikar, Rajendran. Fellas, it was a wild one, 31-28, Syracuse over 23rd ranked Georgia Tech. Yeah, you heard me right. It's a ranked win and a wild one at that. Max, what were your first thoughts coming away from this win?
Well, there's plenty of things I could talk about, but last game in the post-game press conference, Fran Brown mentioned how he wanted to send Ryan Day a bottle of champagne for getting Kyle McCord. Well, I'm ready to give Kyle McCord and Ryan Day the key to the city. I mean, what can you not say about Kyle McCord in his first two games? 735 passing yards, 8 total touchdowns. Kiran, this guy is the complete package. He's been the spark that this Syracuse offense has been looking for, and he has been on a historical pace in these first two games.
So you want to give Ryan Day that key to the city? How about we give Kyle McCord a little hardware? After 2 weeks, I'm saying Kyle McCord should be in the Heisman conversation.
Wow.
You came at me with a couple of stats, Ryan. How about 39 and 46 pass attempts to start this off? Those are numbers that can win you Heisman trophies. He's just been something special.
I'm hearing Heisman combos. I'm hearing key to the city. I mean, this is all making for some interesting entertainment, and I almost want to watch it back to see what exactly Kyle McCord did to warrant these claims. So we got to look back at what happened in the Dome today, because Syracuse and Georgia Tech were two, I'd say, evenly matched teams going into it, but one had a ranking, one didn't, and it's the earliest Syracuse has seen a ranked opponent since 2016, and it started with some dink and dunk action. That's Will Nixon, son of offensive coordinator Jeff Nixon, taking the flat right there. McCord on the same drive going to Trevor Pena in the flats. It's working. Why not stick with it in the red zone? That's an early score for Syracuse on their first scripted drive of the game. On the other hand, Haynes King almost brought down by Derek McDonald, but he escapes and makes it to the end zone. That is a touchdown. Georgia Tech notches it right back up. McCord, let's see if he's got it still. Right over the middle, Trevor Pena again making his mark on this game early. And McCord once again going to the fade, and it's Pena again. Can't stop, won't stop, Max.
We're talking about a guy in Trevor Pena that hadn't had a touchdown since 2021 coming into the last game against Ohio. And now he has not only 2 touchdowns the last game, he had 3 touchdowns last game, 2 touchdowns this game, and nearly another hat trick today.
Well, there's another guy that came close to a hat trick. Oronde Gadsden with a touchdown right there. Right back on offense is Haynes King and the Yellow Jackets going deep towards the sideline. Hits his man in stride. That's Eric Singleton Jr., 45 yards. And Haynes King, another rushing score. At the half, 21-14, Kiran.
Srikar, count how many times we say the name Kyle McCord. He was on pace to break the single game passing record at the half.
Brady Denenberg's field goal is good. And that's the end of the third quarter. But right here on a 4th and 1, stuffed in the backfield, that is transfer Fadil Diggs making a huge impact play, giving Syracuse a ton of momentum in the process. Kyle McCord over the middle, that's Oronde Gadsden again. So you talk about Pena, you also got to talk about the work Oronde Gadsden did in this game. Kyle McCord's 2 favorite targets, right back on offense. Georgia Tech gets another score, gets the onside kick, and Jamal Haynes is running this into the end zone. So now you have a close ball game after Syracuse was up by quite a bit, but LaQuint Allen puts this one on ice. 31-28, Syracuse takes down Georgia Tech in a big ranked win for Fran Brown. look, you look at the stats, Callum McCord, obviously 381 yards, 4 touchdowns. Trevor Pena nearing 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, overall, a great performance by the offense, Max.
And I think some units that won't get enough credit for this win for Syracuse. One, the offensive line protecting Kyle McCord and allowing him to have a stat line like this. But also, Kiran, you can't talk enough about how good the rush defense was this game for the Orange. That was a big concern coming into this game.
The defense was great, Max, but on that graphic, you only see one receiver. Kyle McCord did a great job of spreading the wealth. A lot of different guys getting catches today.
Well, we can only say so much from the desk because we have a reporter who was out in the dome watching all the action. Skylar Wilkes, looking great as always. I mean, I'm loving the suit. I'm loving this fit right now. Look, I want to know what head coach Fran Brown thought about Kyle McCord's performance today, because we did mention the champagne comment from earlier, but back-to-back strong performances. What did the head coach say for it?
Well, Srikar, I appreciate the compliment. It's hard to live up to the expectations when you're on camera with me, but Fran Brown was absolutely beaming from ear to ear about Kyle McCord. You know, they go way back, and that's what he was trying to get out of his quarterback. For 381 yards, that's impressive. 4 touchdowns, also pretty impressive. But what Brown liked even more out of McCord was his 15-yard run on 3rd down in the 3rd quarter, where he spiked the football in excitement. Should have gotten a penalty, said Fran Brown, but he thought that was the perfect description of Syracuse football. That's how much he means to this program, and he kept saying Little League Kyle. You know, they, like I said, they go way back to his Little League days in New Jersey. That's what Kyle McCord used to do. You know, not known necessarily for his mobility anymore, but he showed it there, made a play happen with his legs, and Fran Brown didn't have enough good things to say about his quarterback.
Hey Skylar, Srikar stole a little bit of my thunder because I was going to say you're looking quite spiffy today, but I want to talk a little bit about how this game ended. There's plenty of positives to take away, but Syracuse only won this game by a field goal because of some late game, I don't know what you'll call it, but it wasn't the greatest at the end. So my question for you is, should SU fans be concerned about how this game ended?
I mean, first of all, Max, great bow tie that you're wearing. You're always looking great in that outfit. But no, I don't think you should be concerned because they won the game, right? They got a ranked victory at home over Georgia Tech. I think last year, before that, they don't win this football game. Yeah, the onside kick was a little concerning, but those things happen in football, right? It was just a little bit of a blunder, but it's not something that's really concerning because think about that last drive that iced the game. 3rd and long, Kyle McCord completes it to Arande Gadsden for the 1st down. That absolutely does not happen last year. And LaQuinn Allen was pounding the rock, continuing to ice the game on that drive. That's what he wants to do. That's what Fran Brown said. That's what he's built to do. He wants the ball in his hands at all times. And, when Syracuse needed to get a 1st down, they needed yards. LaQuinn Allen just kept churning his legs, getting the 1st down, and securing this victory for Syracuse. And so, yeah, it wasn't the prettiest ending, Max, but nothing that you should be concerned about in the long term.
Hey Skylar, Srikar mentioned everything but your tie. I'm loving that tie, and let's move away from the game for a second. A big day in the Dome. Dwight Freeney gets his number retired. What was that ceremony like in the building?
Well, it's awesome anytime you have a Pro Football Hall of Famer in the building, and not just because he's from Connecticut, but he was a great football player during his time here at Syracuse and obviously in the National Football League with the Colts, with the Patriots, with the Falcons, his long career. But I think what his impact was before the game. Fidel Diggs talked about it after the game. He was coaching those edge rushers, those pass rushers, those defensive linemen. He was coaching them up before the game, and he said he was just itching to get back out there. He just can't help himself to coach up the young guys. And while there were no sacks today for the Syracuse pass rush, Fidel Diggs played a huge role in the defense, dropping back into coverage. He blew up that 4th down play to turn it over on downs. And you just have to imagine they showed up, right? Derek Coleman, the former NBA player and Syracuse basketball legend, was in attendance. Dwight Freeney in attendance. He got his teammates that he hadn't seen in 20 years since college in the building. The atmosphere, well, maybe it wasn't as packed as you would like it to be. The atmosphere was still unbelievable. The energy was palpable in the building, and Dwight Freeney's presence made it all happen.
Skylar, thank you so much. We always appreciate and value your insight to the point where I think our analysts are ready to give some more insight of their own. When we come back, we are breaking down different aspects of this game, which helped Syracuse get their big ranked win. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Orange Press Pass alongside Max Gifford and Kiran Costa. I'm Srikar Rajendran. 31-28 Syracuse over 23rd ranked Georgia Tech. Now, fellas, a lot to break down in this game, but I think it all starts with a man helming the whole offense. Kyle McCord, a big day for him through the air, 381 yards and 4 scores. Max, 2 weeks in, this guy is on fire to start.
I mean, I was ready to give him the key to the city. Kiran was ready to give him the Heisman praise. And why shouldn't he? A really cool stat that I found about McCord today is he's the first Syracuse quarterback since Ryan Nassib in 2012 to have multiple 300-yard games with 4+ touchdowns. He said you had 4 touchdowns in back-to-back games for McCord. The thing about Kyle that's just really impressed me so far, I mean, comparative to his time at Ohio State, is how much fun he's having on the field. You saw him at the end of the game absolutely throw the ball into the stands. And you saw him even on the sideline getting emotional with the players. He is really invested in this squad. I know it's different coming from the Big Ten to the ACC. And I know McCord had a lot of pressure on him at Ohio State. We're talking about a guy that was 37 yards away from potentially clinching the Big Ten title and potentially getting the #1 seed in the college football playoff. But he looks just re-energized here in his new time at Syracuse.
Definitely, Max. He just seems to be having so much fun, and he's so comfortable out there. You mentioned it. He looked a little tight that entire year at Ohio State. He's yelling on the sidelines. He picked up a nice little 15-yard rush for a first down there, threw that ball back. He's having fun. He's talking to all his receivers on the sidelines. His coach, he just looks like he's bringing his joy back to football a little bit.
And a lot of what benefited McCord's performance was the play calling from offensive coordinator Jeff Nixon. Kiran, I think back to those 4th down conversions as examples of where SU was not afraid to be more creative and throw GT's defense off.
Yeah, that creativity, it just makes it so much more fun to watch this offense. 4th and 1, is McCord going to take it up the middle? No, he flips it to his running back, and then a nice little end around on the next one. Their offensive coordinator, Jeff Nixon, has spent the last 3 years in the NFL, and it's really showing in his play calls early in the season.
What's really cool, you mentioned that little pitch out to LaQuint Allen. I mean, we would have never seen that in the Dino Babers era here at Syracuse. I love how Fran Brown just creative, and he's not afraid, even going against a ranked Georgia Tech team, to be necessarily scared about having to convert on these 3rd downs and convert on these 4th downs. One of the biggest drives, I don't think will get talked about enough in this game, is that final drive. Syracuse had to execute it, and to be completely honest, I thought they executed it to perfection. Sure, the first 2 plays weren't the best, but 3rd down, you're still deep in your own territory, and Kyle McCord makes a fantastic pass to Arondé Gaston for a 1st down. That's exactly the kind of play calling you need if you're Syracuse going forward in this schedule.
Well, it was also offensive and defensive play calling, because on the other side, the run defense for Syracuse was a bit of a point of a concern going into this game. Anthony Tyus of Ohio ran for more than 200 yards last week, so now when Georgia Tech's running back Jamal Haynes comes to town, start to worry a little bit, but Max, the defense truly stepped up.
And it was definitely a worry in that first half, Srikar. There was a lot of concern with how Haynes King was running, how Jamal Haynes was running, but I'm ready to say it. I mean, Syracuse's rush defense absolutely locked up the Ramblin' Wreck today. It was so fun to watch. If you look at the past couple of games, when Georgia Tech took on Florida State, and when they took on Georgia State, running all over them, they averaged almost a yard more per attempt, and the attempts were way less today. Syracuse forced Georgia Tech and Haynes King to have to throw the ball, and you could see they were just visibly uncomfortable having to do that.
And Georgia Tech came into this game a team that runs the ball 60% of the time. So Fran Brown and his staff clearly had a plan, and they executed on it perfectly. SU won the game in the trenches, definitely.
And as you could have guessed at home based off how much we talked him up, Kyle McCord is our player of the game. 381 yards, 4 touchdowns. That's 2 straight games with 354. Looked confident in the pocket. He stepped up and made the throws he needed to get SU this win. Back-to-back strong games for Kyle McCord as he begins his tenure in Orange. And when we come back, it's time to play Boom or Doom. Now, a little bit more explanation on that when we come back. Please stay tuned because our analysts are going to have a lot of fun with this. We'll see you soon.
It's not that hard.
My big man fingers are having a problem with these little tiny buttons.
Whoa, watch it there. Your blood pressure's gonna go through the roof.
Tell me about it. I'm trying to learn how to get it down. Instead, it keeps going up.
High blood pressure can increase the risk for heart attack or stroke. Learn how to keep yours at a healthy range.
Ever hear a voice command? Just say text barbershop to 97779.
That's not what I said.
Just give me that. Now my blood pressure's up.
If you're buzzed and doing this to make yourself feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive.
Welcome back to Orange Press Pass alongside Max Gifford and Kiran Costa. I'm Srikar, Rajendran. Change settings here a little bit, but still breaking down Syracuse's 31-28 win over 23rd ranked Georgia Tech. Doing it in a fun way though, because here we have boom or doom. Now how this is going to work, fellas, I'll give you a figure within SU, all right, in this football team, and you're going to tell me whether it's a boom or whether it's a doom. Simple as that. You know, it's a boom or bust, but a boom or doom. So, Max, we're going to start with the big guys up front, the O-line, okay? It was a little bit of a question going into the season, how they would perform, how Kyle McCord would hold up behind that protection. Max, has the O-line earned a boom in your eyes?
Well, Srikar, it was a very big concern coming into the season for Syracuse. And I'm ready to give it not one, not two, but 3 booms. I mean, this unit has been so fun to watch so far. Dale Williams, new offensive line coach for Syracuse, at the beginning of the season said he has elevated the standard for this unit, and my goodness, has it paid dividends. 4 total sacks in the first 2 games with this squad. I mean, the unit's just so fun to watch, not only protecting Kyle McCord, but also when you watch Kyle McCord sort of in that pocket, because he only stays in the pocket, even when he has to get out, they're still doing such a good job blocking for him to make sure that he can get around and out.
We've talked so much about how Kyle McCord's having almost a historical start to these 2 games, and you know why? It's because the offensive line broke my boom meter.
What? He broke it?
I mean, there's only 3 spots. You took all of them. It broke the whole thing, Max. I mean, Kyle McCord looks so comfortable in that pocket, and he wouldn't be putting up the stats that he's putting up if it wasn't for the guys in front of him.
Well, I didn't even get to mention that, you know, we could have multiple booms here. I mean, you go 3 booms, and then he breaks the meter.
I don't know how I'm going to make my next boom or doom, because
the meter's broken. How are we going to keep going? But we are going to keep going. We're going to talk about the offense. We'll stay there. Oronde Gadsden, all right? One of the more talented players on this team, some would argue he's one of the best players on this team, was out for a lot of last season due to injury. Kiran, do you think he's come back strong? Has he earned, even a boom with the boom meter broken? Are you giving it to him?
I talked to my guy, Srikar. They fixed my boom meter, and Oronde Gadsden gets 1 boom. Maybe it's not the production we would have thought we were getting from him, but it's just so consistent. Max, he had that great catch, again, in the end zone a couple of times, and 200 yards from 2 weeks. I'm not complaining.
So my one concern with Oronde Gadsden is the fact that is he the option you want right now on this team?
You tell me.
I'm telling you right now, Martians have the death beam pointed at the earth, fate of the universe on the line. I want Trevor Pena. I don't know if I want Oronde Gadsden. I'm giving Oronde 1 doom. I don't care what the college football 25 ratings people say. I don't care that he's maybe the best tight end in the country potentially. He just hasn't done enough for me yet to be convinced that he gets a boom on my boom meter.
A doom? He might be the best tight end in all of college football.
Okay, but does he have as many touchdowns as Trevor Pena?
Well, he's not a tight end.
Well, there you have it. 1 boom, 1 doom going into our final person that I can give you, and it's the guy manning the entire operation. Fran Brown, all right? Rookie head coach. 2 games in. Max, has he earned a boom in your eyes? Think this is a brand new slate and a new era of SU football. Are we at that boom stage?
Srikar, we are at that boom stage. I'm giving Fran Brown 1 solid boom. It's very early to say anything about how the rest of the season can go for Fran Brown. But in these first 2 games, you have just seen the energy around this team revitalized, whether that is at the quarterback position, whether that's at the offensive line position. And to play football efficiently and college football efficiently, you have to make adjustments. What was the biggest thing Syracuse was concerned about going into this week? Defending the run. Fred Brown put it bluntly at the end of his press conference last week, we got to stop the run or we're not going to figure it out for next week. Fred Brown puts it so bluntly, which I just really appreciate. You don't hear a lot of coach speak out of this guy. And when you have a coach that's just very consistently honest and really cares about his players and has that energy, I mean, why wouldn't you give him a boom?
Max, my boom meter, it's fixed. It could be a boom. I'm sorry. My meter's just not gonna move on this one. I haven't seen enough from him from 2 weeks. The Ohio game
a
last
ranked
week,
win? A ranked win wasn't enough?
Today's game was not perfect, and I need perfection in either last week or this
Where are
week
you gonna
to
get
get on my
perfection?
boom meter.
Perfection is what is
It's
needed to
very
get boom now?
difficult to get on the boom meter. It's not an easy meter to make it on. A sloppy
Well,
game,
I'm pretty sure
a
the O-line
sloppy
just
fourth
broke
quarter
your
today.
meter, so it can't be that hard,
Well,
can it?
the offensive line, now that's a unit that he's done very well, but the special teams were tough today, and I think it was just a sloppy game, especially in that second half. And Ohio, you let them hang around to the fourth quarter. I wasn't happy about that either.
I mean, get a load of this guy. I mean, you just have to be perfect.
So, if I stand corrected, we have 1 doom from each. Am I
No,
correct?
I don't
No,
have
I
a
gave
doom.
him a boom. I gave Fred Brown a boom.
No.
Oh, 1 doom from
I'm
each.
talking total
I'm not giving him
overall
a doom.
cumulative.
He's just not. He hasn't moved my meter yet. Be great against Stanford. Break the meter again. Why don't you?
I mean, it can be hard to break a meter. It can be hard to get on Kiran's boom meter, whatever it may be. Time is quickly fading here on Orange Press Pass. But when we come back, we're going to look big picture. We're going to take a look around the NCAA. And also, we're going to give our final thoughts on what was an interesting game in the Dome. Stay tuned.
I already knew that I was going to go to college, from a young age. I definitely want to major in political science, become the mayor or something, make the situation better for other people. My name is Justin, and I am your dividend.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Welcome back to Orange Press Pass alongside Max Gifford and Kiran Costa. I'm Srikar Rajendran. Time slowly fading away, but it's time to look big picture. We got to look around the NCAA and look at all the scores that's happened from this past week and today itself because, Max, there's been a lot of interesting results.
It's been a really fun couple weeks of college football, all starting with that week 1 matchup against Florida State and Georgia Tech. But they've continued to have better and better matchups each week throughout the entirety of college football. I mean, Kiran, it's just been a fun couple weeks, not only with the Syracuse team, but in this entire college football landscape.
I feel like every year we say, it's been the best 3 weeks of college football, but I think these first 3 weeks are really up there for Syracuse and then for others. I mean, this Georgia Tech team, a big win over number 10 Florida State. We've seen a lot of almost upsets. We haven't seen the big teams in the country fall just yet, but I don't know if there's a juggernaut yet that's shown I've seen through the first 3 weeks.
Well, there could be a juggernaut lying in number 3 Texas because they did take down number 10 Michigan. Obviously, Michigan coming off the national championship, maybe out of sorts, maybe a little worse, but Texas, I think, really established themselves. That's a statement win right there.
Honestly, Michigan kind of deserved that. I'm not even going to lie. They've been bragging all week about how, I don't know how it feels to lose anymore. They'd been on that huge winning streak not only at home, but ever since last season. They were just like, winning by double digits doesn't even feel like a win anymore. And Texas absolutely just gave it to them down to the big house. And I think that was pretty awesome. I mean, if you're not a Michigan fan, everyone was very happy to see that result.
Kyle McCord may have a run for his money with that Heisman Award. I mean, Quinn Ewers down in Texas Srikar. I know you're really high on him, but he's just putting on a show through these first 2 weeks. He made what's a great Michigan defense look like nothing earlier today.
Guys, and how about Penn State just squeaking by Bowling Green? It says there that they're ranked 8. But after a little narrow win like this, are you really buying in? Are they actually a top 10 team?
Penn State and Oklahoma State, 2 teams I was really high on coming into this week, going up against very lesser opponents in Bowling Green and Arkansas, but did not convince me at all today. At home, nonetheless, to perform at a high level.
I would put Kansas State in that conversation as well. You see 3 of those ranked games, they only win by 1 score, and all of them were on upset watch heading to the 4th quarter. When you're playing teams like that, we'll take Syracuse, for example. They're playing the ranked team in Georgia Tech. They took the lead, and they just held it the rest of the way. Teams like Arkansas, teams like Tulane, they're giving these ranked teams runs for their money.
And the next time you'll catch us on Orange Press Pass will be in 2 weeks, Friday, September 20th against Stanford. Look, a lot of time in between now and then. I think there is a little bit of an argument to be made about rest versus rust. Will it be a little bit of a hindrance for Syracuse to have a bye week this early?
It's tough to tell. Syracuse has 2 bye weeks, so you're going to have 2 opportunities in this season to sort of reset. Syracuse has definitely needed that at some point, but it'll be interesting going against what I would call lesser opponents in Georgia Tech and Stanford and Holy Cross. But when you get to that UNLV and NC State sort of slate, that's when things start to get really interesting. Now, I think with the effort that Syracuse showed today against Georgia Tech, they have the ability to go and beat all these teams. I really do. What do you think, Kiran?
I think they have the ability to beat all 4 teams you see up there. NC State's going to be a battle, but that says number 24. They just beat the number 23 team in the country. But Srikar, going back to your question, I think this week off's going to do them a lot of good. These are 2 high adrenaline, high emotional games for both Fran Brown and Kyle McCord. It's your first game in the Dome, and then it's a ranked opponent coming to your house. These are games that take a lot out of you. I think a week off's going to help them.
All winnable games with the bye week as a factor as well. Before we wrap up shop here on Orange Press Pass, Max, let's get one final thought out of this game. What did you think of all the madness that we saw encapsulate in this game? What is your one resounding word?
Well, I was playing earlier in this show to Ohio State fans, Ryan Day, Syracuse, the city of Syracuse, to give Ryan Day the key to the city. But now my plea goes to the NCAA, and it's just asking, please let Kyle McCord have an extra year of eligibility. I mean, how fun would it be to watch McCord,
a lot of fun,
not just in one season, but in multiple seasons at Syracuse? McCord is finally giving Syracuse fans the ceiling I think everyone expected for this team. You can look at the stats all you want, but just the energy that McCord has around this squad is so different than any player I've ever seen here at Syracuse, and especially with someone like Marlowe Wax out of the picture for 6 weeks. You need someone with that mob mentality. You need someone to come in and really have that, mindset of, okay, like we're going to win no matter what, and I don't care who the opponent is. You saw McCord on the sideline today. He was using some expletives that I unfortunately can't say on air, but he was saying that this Georgia Tech team is sorry. And he was committed to beating them the entire way. And then I mentioned it at the start, throwing the football into the end zone after the second game, first-ranked win of the Fran Brown era. He's hyped, and I'm here for it. So I just wanted to see him in an orange uniform another season.
Fran Brown and Kyle McCord, year 2 would be something special. Still a lot of work to do here in year 1 for them, is what I would say. And on that, I feel like we just have to clean up a little things around the edges for Fran Brown and company.
He's the one being negative. Shocker, shocker, shocker.
Let's clean up the special teams a little bit. You have a blocked field goal, a blocked punt, and Georgia Tech gets that onside kick. These are things that coming down the stretch when you play better opponents, you're just not going to get away with that, Max. You think that blocked field goal completely
Who's a better opponent than Georgia Tech that Syracuse will play this season?
NC State.
NC State? They're lower in the rankings right now.
I said that earlier, but I think that NC State, what we've seen from NC State early in this year has been really good.
You just said
we have to clean it up, Max. We can't have this sloppy play going down the stretch of the season.
Well, whether you want to be an uplifter or the Debbie Downer, a win is a win is a win, and Syracuse managed to get one today. Thank you for joining us on Orange Press Pass. For Max Gifford, Kiran Costa, I'm Srikar Rajendran saying so long, and thank you for watching.